Ladies and gentlemen, I present to you the Arccaptain MIG205MP. Well, at least that's what's supposed to be inside of this box. So we're going to unbox things and make sure we got everything that we're supposed to in here. I'll tell you a little bit more about this unit and all the things that it can do. Then I have to retire my old Lincoln 180. She's been a good unit, but I think it's time that we bring things into the 21st century. So the Lincoln will come off of here. The Arccaptain will go on. We'll maybe mess around with it a little bit and see if it does the things that I'm hoping that it will do for me, which it claims to be able to. So I'll show you all of that. And then at the tail end of this video, if you're interested enough, I will talk you through a little project that I want to use this Arccaptain for on the 1979 Fox Body Ghia. All right, here we go. I have not been in this box yet, as I'm sure you can tell. So we'll see what we get in here together. Plug in our unit. Okay. More on that in a minute. Let's just get everything out of this big box so we can see what we're doing. Good grief. Okay. Manual. All right. Let's put that there. Jeez, there's actually not a lot of weight to this unit. I would have thought it way more. Okay, looks like this is slick. We've got the option to run 110 power or 220, which I'm guessing on 110 you just have less capabilities than you would on the 220. Giving you guys a view from the back end here, which, all right, we got our port for MIG gas, we got our port for cutting and TIG gas on off. Very nice. The front end of this unit is quite pretty. Now you'll see on the front of this unit we've got a digital display, which I will admit does seem a little daunting at first blush, especially if you're like me and you've got one of these Lincoln units, which is, you know, you get your wire feed speed and you get your voltage and that's it. And simple is good, don't get me wrong. However, the neat part about this unit in MIG welding format, which is one of like 9 different things that this unit will do all in one package. But one of the neat things that attracted me to this is this unit will actually set itself up for the most optimal welding conditions possible. So it has a way of sensing the thickness of the material that you're trying to weld and what it is in MIG format again, and it'll set your wire speed and your voltage all by itself, which is pretty wild. Now, speaking of which, I mentioned that it's like 9-in-1. This thing is a plasma cutter, it's a DC stick welder, DC TIG, Flux Core MIG, which is kind of the same as MIG, it's just you're not welding with gas. Like, this thing in a really small package does all of that. And I mean, speaking of small packages, like, it's way smaller than my Lincoln 180. So pretty neat. I do want to actually learn how to TIG weld, which this thing has the ability to do, so that'll be fun. But for me, MIG welding is like my #1 go-to, and then the plasma cutting feature, which is, I've always wanted a plasma cutter. So anyway, that's a little bit about the unit. Let's see what we got in this extra heavy box here. Geez, I don't know if my little welding cart's gonna handle all these goodies. So, okay, we got a gas hose. We got our ground. Good grief, I'm not even sure what this is. Okay, more on that in a minute. Okay, I think this is for plasma cutting. Another hose. All right, sweet. We got a little cover for it. That's always fun. Okay, this is our cutting torch accessories. I don't know if they give us a little bit of TIG filler here. Or did that just fall out of there? I don't know. Those two do look the same. Okay, so that's our plasma cutting goodies. All right, this looks like our TIG. MIG, TIG, cut. Okay. Looks like they label everything quite well. What do we got here? Oh, this is something I left out in one of the features that this thing does, which is I don't think anything I'll ever mess around with. Maybe if I get more into the TIG world, but this is like a cleaning tool, and it does it through some sort of like electrostatic ability. I don't really know a whole lot about it. I've kind of seen it used a couple times, but looks quite neat. It, like I say, might just end up staying in the bag. Okay, and then we got our MIG gun. Beauty. Okay, that's the magic one I need. Looks like we got some tips and some different wheels for different size wire. And then, oh, would you look at that? We even get a little gas meter. Cool. Okay. Right on. Yeah, this is definitely like an all-in-one unit for sure. Not only all-in-one that it can do all these things, but you get everything you need. Alright, well I think we're all set up here. Now I've been doing a little bit of reading through the manual here just to make sure that I'm doing everything as I should. Don't let the thickness of this manual throw you for a loop. It is in a few different languages. But I'm set up here now for MIG, welding with gas, and I'm also set up with this plasma cutting torch. Now, I think I've kind of got this display figured out. It is fairly intuitive, but like I mentioned earlier, something that I really wanted to try out with this thing is they call it their synergistic welding mode, okay? And it'll essentially, it's for beginner welders if I'm being honest, so it will do all the thinking for you when it comes to wire speed and voltage. And I'm interested to see how well this works. Now, this machine will talk to you, and I'm about to show you how. I didn't actually even really realize what it was asking me to do. It kept saying to connect a lead. I'm like, I think I'm all connected, but there's this random one hanging here, so watch this.
Please connect the adapter to the positive.
And it'll keep squawking at you until you do it. So right now, I'm telling it that I want to be in synergistic mode where it, you know, does all the thinking for you. All right. Worse than your wife, gents. Or if you got a whiny husband and you're a gal watching. So, okay, yeah, see, as soon as I connect this thing, you'll see that light change color too. It goes from yellow to green. So, fairly intuitive, if you ask me. Now, I can't really tell you why this thing needs to be connected. I guess we'll find out. Anyway, you do not have to weld in this synergistic mode. You can work in separated mode, I believe it is as well. So if I touch this.
Long pressing the knob to unlock.
Oh.
Long pressing the knob to unlock. Panel unlocked.
Okay. Now if I go like so, we are now out of synergistic mode and I can adjust my voltage. I can adjust my wire speed to whatever I want. Or if I go back to synergistic mode, this thing will do all the thinking for me. So I am going to, yeah, and I mean, I got my gas all set up and everything. Okay, we're saved. I wanted to show you guys this too. Check this out. Like the little things in life, hey? Little LED light in there. But yeah, I'm all set up. Got my gas plumbed in. I also got my air line plumbed in for my plasma cutting. So I think what we'll do is we'll weld something here first and then we'll fire up the plasma cutter and see if we can't knock it in half. Okay folks, so I've got two different thickness metals here and I have not indicated to the machine what thickness they are. I've not changed anything. I'm using this synergistic mode. So what we're going to do is take a run at welding this thicker material, then we'll take a run at welding this thinner material without making any changes to the machine, and we'll see how she does. Not bad. Okay, now I should mention that this is all being done on 110 too. I'm not tied into my heavier power right now, so okay, we'll leave that for review in a minute. All right, folks, please excuse the fan noise. We were just rocking and rolling with this thing, so I guess it's still in cool down mode. One thing I did notice that's different from my Lincoln 180 is whenever my Lincoln 180's on, the fan's on. This one I turned it on, it fan fired up, and then fan was off. So I'm assuming this will probably get itself down to a temperature where the fan will shut off again. You don't have to listen to it running, but we did just use it. Now, before we get into my thoughts and theories on how that all went, I just wanted to point out to you how cool this kind of ball socket system is for the head of this welding torch. Like, that is a great idea. It's similar up here too, right? You get all kinds of movement out of it instead of your cord getting all banged up and bent around. Very, very slick idea. Now, please excuse the welding because it's been a little while since I had a welder in my hand, but I think for what it's worth, this thing did exactly what it was supposed to. And now I was curious as to whether or not the voltage and wire speed changed as I was welding. So I went through it again and actually set the camera up for you guys. I haven't even seen what goes on, but I kind of turned my head every once in a while to see what was going on. And sure enough, this thing's adjusting itself as you go. So it's sensing what it needs to sense and makes the changes as it sees fit. It's still really hot. But anyway, I mean, yeah, like I think the point that I'm trying to make with this synergistic mode is if you're anything like anyone just starting out welding and you don't have anyone to show you what's going on, like this is a really, really slick feature. You literally just turn this thing on, plug it in, and start welding, right? You don't have to guess at what you're doing with wire speed or voltage or anything. So very, very slick option. Now I'm gonna fire up this cutting torch and see how well it works. What a beauty. All right, so this was just like pull the trigger and go. I never changed anything on the machine, even though there are changes that you can make. You can dial up or down your air pressure. It's endless, but in light of making this video as short and clean and concise as possible, I just kind of hit it and went. And yeah, I mean, great quick little cut. I was maybe a little too quick for the machine without changing anything because whatever, I had to run over it a few times. But yeah, does exactly what it's intended to. The only thing I had to change in order to go from MIG to cutting torch was obviously change my mode. Oh, it's put itself in lock mode here. So all I did was change myself from MIG over to cut, and I changed my ground from negative, which is here, to positive, and bang, you are plasma cutting. Very slick and very easy. Well, ladies and gents, this is one heck of a machine in a absolutely tiny, compact package. This thing packs a ton of punch for as little a rig as it is. I mean, my Lincoln's covered up, but the Lincoln's gotta be 2 times the size of this. I mean, it took up that whole cart. Maybe not 2 times, but it's a lot bigger. Anyway, what a slick little unit. I can't wait to play with this thing some more. Now, my apologies for not being able to give you any kind of TIG performance and or stick. Actually, I don't know why I was scratching my head on this earlier, but that's your stick gun, because you can stick weld with this thing as well. Like, it's literally the welder for everyone. It's the one-stop shop to get you everything all in one package. Like, I don't know. If you're shopping for a welder, I can't say enough good things. Like, this is the rig. Looking forward to trying out this TIG unit, but that's going to take some training. And then finally, yeah, I kind of brought this up earlier, but this is that whole TIG electrolysis weld cleaning tip. It plugs into the machine. You got to run like some sort of a chemical. I believe it's a bit of an acid, and you can get rid of all that like bluing and browning in a TIG weld just with this little head here. So very, very slick unit. And again, I know this isn't always the case, but really easy instructions to follow. Yeah, for about the length of this video, folks, is as much time as I've got invested in this thing. And I mean, I'm actually excited to dig into it even more. Final thoughts? I think I'm in love. The fact that this thing does MIG and plasma, which are the 2 things that I'm skilled, half-ass skilled enough to be dangerous with, just tickles me. But then the fun doesn't stop there, right? I can get into TIG. I don't really want to get into stick welding, but if I ever have a need to, I've got the ability to do it, and it's all in one unit. Like, for example, my Lincoln 180, which, again, nothing bad to say about this thing. It has been rock solid for 15 years and probably will be for another 15, but it's nothing but a MIG welder. And I think I paid like $650, $700 for that thing 15 years ago. This unit, it's a MIG welder, plus, all in one unit, which is actually a smaller package than my Lincoln was. It boggles my brain. Now, listen, ladies and gents, the folks at Arccaptain were kind enough to send me a discount code for all my viewers. So if you're interested in a unit like this or any of the other things that they have, because they actually sell like just straight up plasma cutters or just straight up MIG welders, on and on, or this multi-purpose unit, you can go on and get a discount by using my discount code that they provided us with. So thank you, Arccaptain, for that. I appreciate it. And I really love your machine. And finally, ladies and gents, for those of you that were interested in hearing a little story on the 79 Ghia, well, here's where this Arccaptain 205MP may come in handy. For those of you that don't know, I actually have this car listed for sale right now. However, it started off fairly hot and heavy, and it's gotten quiet in the last little bit. I do have one fella that has mentioned he's interested, and he's going to show up in a couple of weeks. I guess we'll see if that happens. But what I'm thinking about doing with this thing is a little bit of a mini resto, because it does need some body work done to it. Well, it needs a lot of body work done to it, really. But moreover, it actually, like the trunk, the floor of the trunk has holes in it. One big one behind that passenger side tail light. So this thing needs some like panels put in it in order to solid it up. And one thing I actually didn't mention about that Arccaptain welder earlier, but it has like a spot weld feature where like you don't even have to think about it. You just hit it once and it'll spot weld and time the spot weld perfectly for you. So you don't have to do any of the thinking. It's pretty wild. It's almost like putting your welder on cruise control. But anyway, it has a spot weld feature that would come in really handy if I was tacking a new trunk floor in this thing. Now, on the trunk floor, if I'm going to go to all the trouble to replacing that trunk floor, why wouldn't a person put mini tubs in this thing, right? I think it only makes sense. And I do have some frame rail damage also on this driver's side. Nothing terrible. It's about the size of the end of my pinky finger, but you know how that goes, right? If it's that big, you know, the damage is probably a lot bigger than that. So may as well just cut them out and replace them. And then where I think I would want to go with this thing, again, this is somewhat hypothetical at this point, but it is the way that I'm leaning. I'm secretively hoping that it maybe doesn't sell, is I'd like to put an inline 6 Barra motor in this thing. I think it would be a really neat homage to this old car. And I mean, these Barra motors are just absolutely phenomenal power plants, and the fun that you can have with them is endless. The amount of power you can make with them is endless as well. So I think I'd make a bit of a, I don't know, rockstar coupe with a inline 6 that just absolutely makes gobs and gobs of power. So that's what I'm thinking. And then, you know, maybe a little bit of an interior resto. I'm not even sure what I would do with the outside. Maybe I'd just kind of leave her looking ratty, but fix all the parts that I mentioned already that need to be fixed, and just leave the outside looking a little rough. Maybe make a little rat rod or a shitbox 2.0, something to that effect. So anyway, ladies and gents, stay tuned if you're interested in seeing anything on that. I'll try to keep you guys posted on whether or not this fella shows up. If he doesn't, like I say, I think this might happen, and I think it'd be quite neat. I only know of a couple of cars with that Barra motor in it. There's 2 Fox bodies I'm aware of. One is Time Fox 88. We actually just had him on the podcast. If you're interested in hearing his story, he talks quite a bit about the trials and tribulations of using that motor as well. It wasn't easy, but it's a lot of fun. So anyway, thanks so much for watching, ladies and gents. Again, if you're interested in one of these Arccaptain welders or any of the other Arccaptain products, this is the only one that I can speak to that I've used, but this one's unreal. Go down and check out the link in the description, and also use my discount code if you want to get a little discount if you're going to be buying one of these units. So thanks so much for watching, ladies and gents. I appreciate each and every one of you. I'll catch you on the next one. Take care. Bye for now.